Spaghetti, and welcome back to my channel. Now, let's talk about the owl in the room. No, not that one. Well, actually, yes, that one. Duolingo. Duolingo have yet again launched some pretty big overhauls to the website. Why are people angry, and is this possibly a good thing? Let's just jump into it. Lass uns einfach hineinspringen. Okay. Let's do it. Not my best, not my worst. I'll let that one lingo on your minds. Alright, back to the content, Alright, so what exactly is different? You might not have actually noticed if you're not studying one of the 3 most popular languages on the site, but Duolingo have recently overhauled the Spanish, French, and German learning trees. Whenever Duolingo updates their trees, you might find that there's new vocab in earlier lessons that you haven't learned yet, and also vocab that you've already learned has been pushed into a future lesson. This is just the optimal way that they've found to learn the language. Now, for some people, this can be incredibly demotivating because they've spent so long building up so far in the tree, only to be told you now have to go back to square one for a lot of them. But there's a few points I have about this. 1, it's a free site. I think that has to be considered here. You can complain all you want, but at the end of the day, if they've made a switch this big for it, there's probably a big reason for it. It's going to help in the long run. 2, Duo isn't actually removing any of the crowns you received, so if you're someone that's into statistics like, oh, but I had 70 crowns, now I have 50. No, you actually keep the same number of crowns. And lastly, if you are the type of person that would be upset by this, you can just easily test out of all those basic lessons again. I know it's a bit time consuming, but hey, you can't complain, you're learning a language, right? It's just some extra practice. Übung macht den Meister. See, the goal here is to learn a language more optimally. When Duolingo updated the site a year ago with that huge overhaul that introduced crowns at all, everyone was really upset then. However, this update is so much better than the crown update because a lot of the languages are now CEFR certified. What does that mean? This means that if you are learning Spanish, French, or German on Duolingo, you are now aligned with the Common European Framework of Reference for Language Learning. If you've never heard of that, the CEFR, basically it's an international standard for knowing how much of a language you know, how fluent you are in a language. Why is this a good thing? It means that Duolingo is now taught in a way that is internationally recognized as the most optimal way of language learning that we can all accept and be like, oh, I've gotten to this stage on Duolingo. That means I have successfully learned everything that I should have learned to be A1 certified, or A2. For Spanish and French, those trees now go all the way up to A2, which is amazing. German has now finished, and it's now been optimized for A1. However, they haven't really finished the optimal stuff for A2 yet. They're working on that. You can still do the lessons, they're just not laid out in an optimal way in the tree. Let's take the German tree, for example. If we're looking here on my German tree, as I scroll down, you'll notice that a lot of the segments initially are pretty basic. They have 8 to 10 lessons per section. However, as you get on, I just keep scrolling, there's 20, 22, 23 lessons per chapter. You have things like present 1, which is just present verbs, future verbs, accusative pronouns, and some of the worst ones you can get are things like objects or objects 3 or objects 4. Gosh, those ones are the hardest chapters because they're not really linked with anything. They're just stuff. Literally, you'll learn something like thing and then battery charger or a president. And it's like, why are these words grouped? It's because it's not really done optimally. So Duolingo doing this big overhaul is a good thing because they're now going to have everything in quite a good framework. You don't have any section that's just verbs now. It's verbs that are specifically catered to a specific topic until you get done. However, if we look at the German tree that's been introduced for new learners, as you can see, everything is in a much more succinct chapter. We have siblings, family, complaints, hobbies, food. It may seem similar. You might not notice that there's less things in each of these segments, ending here at celebrate. When you finish at celebrate in the German tree, you have learned everything that it takes to be A1 certified. This is also really good as a jumping off point. So when you're finished with Duolingo, you've finished your tree, you then know, at least I know everything up to A2, and I can successfully remember this. Hopefully, if you're a little bit shaky, you can take an A2 class before going into a B1, but Duolingo says in the future, they're hoping to have everything B1, B2. You know, it is still a site that is growing. One big gripe I see a lot about Duolingo is people say that the grammar teachings aren't really that robust, that you kind of just jump in and have to figure things out. There's small tips here and there, but mostly any tip you get is going to be from a user in the forum. However, with the new framework, what they've just introduced, with the new trees, you can now click into one of the lessons and click the little light bulb icon, and you get a huge amount of tips and tricks featuring conjugations and also just little extra things that will really help you learn things. For instance, there's a lesson right here talking about gern, when to use gern. Hopefully not when you're doing something at a club, but instead when you like doing something. And the way that it's able to help you remember this is Germans use it as a way of saying like, I swim likingly. I've never heard that before. I always have issues thinking of when to use gern. I know you're supposed to use it when it comes to a verb, but I don't like using it. It's just annoying. However, I swim likingly. I'm not gonna forget that. Just a little extra tip that they've put in there with this big tab. 10 out of 10. Little things like that are definitely gonna help people remember things and learn the language better. Another big update that Duolingo performed recently was an entire site-wide graphics update. You might have noticed that Duo the Owl has experienced quite a bit of a Benjamin Button treatment. He's gotten younger and cuter looking. Maybe they were thinking, hey, if we make him a bit cuter, people will feel a lot worse when they ignore his little reminders. Works on me. Now, this update has been around on mobile for ages, but I'm really glad that there's now like a consistent experience from mobile and desktop. Personally, I've said this many times, I am a desktop user when it comes to Duolingo. I find the experience way better for learning. Like the whole tips feature alone is amazing. Duo on the mobile device just feels like, a little bit of hit. I'll take a hit. Give me some of that German. It depends on if you want to passively learn language or passionately learn language. Now, one small complaint that I do have with this graphic update is that they updated the trophy that you get when you finish your tree. It used to be a Duolingo owl that has like the flag of the country that you're learning the language from, and it felt really cool and proud. Now, every trophy's just a golden owl. It doesn't really matter. Now, according to Duo staff in a forum post, they said it's because they haven't yet animated any of the flags yet, so they're just giving everyone the default one. I personally don't think it would take that much work to implement this feature and have the different flags for each language, but I'm pretty sure it's also not high on the priority list of the devs, so I can understand why it's not there. But I mean, other than that, the update was just an aesthetic one, so it's fine. Some people might not like the new way it looks, but it's about learning a language, not about how cute the owl is, okay? He's pretty cute. Okay? You're cute back there. Hoot! Hey, I wanted you to hoot in German. Schrei! Sounds about right. Now, with all this fanfare over the new update, there are a few pitfalls. Personally, I'm learning Spanish as a German speaker, and because of this, I don't actually get any of these new updates. This Spanish, French, and German tree that's been updated is just for English speakers, which makes sense. I mean, that's the most like well-spoken language that uses the site, so hooray. It would have been nice if I could get the CEFR framework for Spanish from German, but I do understand that I'm in quite a niche. And I could always just switch to Spanish from English, but the thing is, I find the benefits of learning this way greatly outweigh the negatives of the words being grouped in weird categories. That's okay. I wish I had the CEFR, but I also like learning German and Spanish at the same time. One thing I'd really like Duolingo to fix is sometimes the audio can be slightly annoyingly missing a certain syllable, and I'll be like typing in what I think it is, and I'm like, no, you didn't pronounce the S, Mr. Robot Man! And, you know, I have to use that anger to learn out of spite, and next time I do it, be like, but every time I find a bug, I just report it. You know, I say this sound doesn't sound right, or my answer should be accepted. And I've had so many times where they're like, thank you for sending us that report, we've fixed it. So it's a community thing. The more you find issues, the more that you report them, the more everything works better. You know, that's what I like about this thing. It's very community run, it feels like. And finally, the big Duolingo update that everyone was upset with, they removed XP for testing out of lessons. Previously, if you tested out of a lesson that had 20 subsections, you'd get 10 experience per subsection. Basically, as if you'd gone through the lesson one at a time. Now, you only get a flat 20 experience no matter what when you're testing out. It feels a bit crap, because 20 is just so little, and you'd get so much more if you went through the whole time. But I do understand why they did it. You should be going through the whole time. You would definitely learn it way better if you actually did it 25 times versus if you just tested out once. But that's not really how I use the feature. I use the test out feature primarily when I got to the 4th crown as a way for me to like test my knowledge and be like, am I really good at this? Did I get this lesson down? And then I test out and try not to get 3 mistakes, and bam, if I did it, I reward myself with lots of experience. Personally, I think 20 is a bit too low, maybe 20% of the lessons, or maybe 40 experience. I'm being a bit pedantic at this point, but I was a bit annoyed. I know a lot of people were, but hey, I've actually stopped testing out more, and I'm just going through these basic lessons over and over. At the end of the day, it's not supposed to be just for experience, and I do like that they have balanced it out, so there's no more of these people on my friends list just like exploding in points because they tested out some basic lessons, but hey, hopefully in the long run, it works out for them. If you're someone that uses the testing out feature regularly, please tell me below like how you use it. And also, I've got a poll. Do you like this update? Do you think it's good and fair, or are you more upset because you missed the experience? So, with all that aside, Duolingo has been doing so many updates, and yet there are some things that I feel like would be so beneficial for them to do, and so I've made a list of feature requests. I feel like profile pages on Duolingo are incredibly lacking. Look at my profile page. This is all the information that you're able to see about me. Why? They have these little cool badges on mobile and on desktop when you're looking at it yourself, like how many days in a row have you done lessons? The streak isn't even on the profile. How am I supposed to get more Tinder matches, Duo? Okay? Girls need to know I'm flexing on that 1,200-day streak, okay? I need them to know about this. How's that not my profile? I could be lying. That seems like a pretty easy integration and something that would be very beneficial and very easy to do, right? Good idea. Now just imagine if Duolingo let your profile be like this website I found called Duo.me. This is how I know, I guess I'm a big Duo user, is that I've seeked out websites like this that just, it tells you my streak, my lingots, how many crowns I've got, total experience for anyone looking at it. It's also got how many trophies I have, what my skill is in certain words and chapters. It's amazing. Also, it allows me to rank myself against everyone else on the website. What? I am currently ranked 3,776 for Lingots. If only I hadn't spent them all on those cute costumes. If Duolingo introduced the stuff on this site into our profiles, it would be so amazing. And maybe that's just because I like stats, might be a bit biased. And for my second request, along a similar vein, when you're studying Duolingo on mobile, you can only see your friend's total XP, which can be a little demotivating when they're friends with me. I have 70,000 XP. That's not fair. That seems a bit too crazy. I've been on the site for way too long, okay? However, on desktop, you can see someone's daily XP, weekly, monthly, so I know like, ooh, even though Tom beat me this week, I'll make sure I beat him overall for the month. You know, that's nice and I can work towards that. But people on mobile are just kind of assaulted with my 69,000 number. Don't do it. They do say 69 is the sex number. I guess that's because in German it's 69. Yeah. 3. I have never had a good time using clubs. Supposedly clubs are fun. I see people posting about like, I'm in the Ruby League. I don't even know what that is. Because I'm learning Spanish from a German root. I've tried to join all my friends' clubs, but it turns out I'm not able to because I'm not learning Spanish from English. Is that like a possibility? Can we have like a multicultural club, please? We're both learning Spanish. I'm just learning from a different base. Can I just please even jump in as an English learner? I don't want to have to constantly switch around. I just want to be in my friend's club. Please, let me do it. My fourth feature request, I feel like is heavily requested, especially on the Duolingo subreddit. Let us spend our lingots on something. I've got 8,000 lingots and I don't know what to spend it on. I don't really need it on streak freezes because your boy don't miss his streak. I've bought the cute little lesson packs like idioms and flirting. You know, I've bought the 2 outfits for Duo. Give me something else. I don't know, maybe some profile updates. Who knows? I don't know, but something to spend my lingots on besides, you know, lives. I'm not going to use lives because I'm on desktop. After you get to a certain point, lingots are basically like Venezuelan dollars. They don't really do anything, and I'd like them to have a value, please. And lastly, if y'all need a community manager to update people on the site and snappy videos that tell people all the fun facts about Duolingo, please hire me, okay? My job recently disappeared from me, and I could really use a job right now. And come on, perfect guy. Evan for president. 2020. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Please tell me below if any of these updates have affected you, if you like them, if you're not liking them, tell me below. And also, if you started learning a language because of me, please let me know. That would be lovely to hear, because even though I make a lot of videos that are meant to just be entertaining, the ones that mean the most to me are the ones that I feel like have such a heavy impact on people. If like I stop making videos tomorrow, I feel like I'd have such a good impact on the world in general if a couple people started learning a language because of me, you know? Videos talking about language learning and stuff are ones that just make me really, really happy inside, because no matter what happens in the world, I'm like, I had a positive impact. Even if it was one person, I hope that by doing these types of videos, I have improved their life, and I don't know, it just makes me happy, okay? So tell me below, that'd be great to hear. And hey, if you haven't started yet, hopefully this video has inspired you. Learn a new language, please. Do it for me. Do it for you. Do it for the owl, okay? Please, it's got my family. Anyway, thank you. Anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope to see you guys next week, and I'll see you next time. Tschüss, auf Wiedersehen. Bis bald. Adios.